I started
late
earning
80s.
my living at 17 as a writer, because that's always what I wanted to be from when I was about 6 years old, and I was forever writing in little notebooks at home. And I was an only child too, which, though I had friends at school, for whatever reason, I never was allowed to have friends back in the flat, and so I played sort of imaginary games a lot of the time, and basically that was wonderful training for being a writer. I don't come from a posh background at all. Brought up on a council estate, and everybody just left school at 16 when they'd just done their equivalent of GCSEs, and my mum didn't want me to work in a factory or whatever, and so suggested I do a secretarial training course at the local tech. I didn't want to be a secretary, but all I wanted to do was be a writer, and so she said triumphantly, well, there, you need to type if you're going to be a writer. So I went and did the secretarial course, wasn't very good at it, but then when looking for a job, I did see this advert, wanted teenage writers, and couldn't believe it. Wrote up for it, and it was the Scottish firm DC Thompson's, who were the next year bringing out a full-colour teenage magazine, eventually called Jackie. And so I wrote them a story, and to my utter astonishment, they liked it. And even more surprisingly, I hadn't even thought about this, they paid me. I mean, it was only about £3, but still it was extraordinary to me. And so I kept writing them stories, and then they offered me a job, which was up in Dundee. And I was still only 17 at that time. And so it was a bit scary deciding to go and live. I'd never even been to Scotland at that stage. Even then, I had the sense to know you only get opportunities like this occasionally. Why not go for it? And so I did, and it was fantastic training. I worked as a junior journalist on various different women's magazines, and then got married at 19, but wrote freelance, and basically I have been earning my own keep ever since 17. I had to compromise sometimes and do an awful lot of magazine stuff that I didn't really want to do when I wanted to write novels, but one way and another I kept on. I wasn't an overnight success when even my books started to get published, but eventually it was The Story of Tracy Beaker that was my kind of breakthrough book. And after that, things became much nicer.
Slam dunk, are you ready to make me?